The price of peace, 1,400 officers and £1 million to police the climate protesters' camp at Kingsnorth Power Station. We're live at the campsite with the latest details. Giving tourism a lift.
Good evening, welcome to South East Today with Jeff Clark and me, Beverly Thompson. Hundreds of police officers from across the country are being drafted in as part of a £1 million operation to keep the peace at the environmental protest camp close to Kingsnorth Power Station in Kent. Up to 1,400 officers are being drawn from 26 different forces after campaigners at the so-called Camp for Climate Change threatened to shut down the coal-fired power station. Last night, 2 arrests were made and bolt cutters were seized. Our reporter, Peter Whittlesey, is there now. So, Peter, a huge police presence, and that's even before this protest has really got going.
Well, that's right. At the moment, there seems to be more police than protesters. There are police on the gate searching people as they go in. There's a police roadblock down the road. And if we take a look in the distance, what looks like a giant marquee is in fact a makeshift police station that sprung up to house all the officers who are here on this operation. Is this the start of things to come? Protesters who vow to take the law into their own hands, and the police whose job it is to stop them.
Talking to all people arriving at the site, and we're searching persons that are attending the site to see if you've got any articles which may cause criminal damage with. Okay?
Stop and search powers are now in place. Everyone coming and going is under police surveillance. These measures have been put in place after 2 campaigners were charged with obstruction, and equipment which the police believe could be used unlawfully was seized from the camp.
Yesterday we applied for and obtained a search warrant to search the site. The amount of material that we recovered had to be recovered in a lorry. There was that much. You know, things such as super glue, large quantities of super glue, bolt croppers, items for which protesters would use to actually chain themselves to railings, large amounts of rope and scaffold boards which traditionally would have been used for unlawful activity associated with the demonstration.
The police have been planning this for months, and a makeshift police village and roadblocks have suddenly appeared in the area. The police presence is unmissable, and local residents can't believe the scale of the operation.
Well, it's just astounding, you know, so many police, you know, what's here. You know.
Have you ever seen so many police?
No, not never.
Wherever you drive, there's police up there, roadblocks, roads closed, everything like that.
I don't think it'll have much chance of breaking into the power station.
Why is that?
Because of the security.
And that's not just down to the police. E.ON, the owners of the power station, have built a second inner security fence with razor wire, ensuring there's now 2 lines of defence. Well, with me now is one of the organisers of this event, Patrick Gillett. Quite simply, we've heard it's going to cost the public purse £1 million. How can you justify that?
Well, it's an absolute disgrace. I mean, the police are going to spend £1 million of taxpayers' money to defend the profits of E.ON.
No, they're not. You said you were going to break the law, and that's why they're here.
This camp here is not breaking the law.
No, but you have said that your direct action will break the law, and that's why the police are here.
Direct action outside the camp will break the law, or will do whatever needs to take place to stop E.ON peacefully from profiting from climate change. Last year they made £4.2 billion in profit from creating climate change, and the police are going to spend £1 million.
But the point is, we do need the energy. 1.5 million people have energy from that power station. How else will you get energy?
Yesterday there was a report delivered by POIAS that said just how we don't need we don't need coal-fired power stations, and we don't need
Just
nuclear.
Briefly, are you still planning to break the law and break into the power station?
We're not planning to break the law. We're planning to shut the coal-fired power station down, and we plan to come back when they try to build the new coal-fired power station, because we're the last generation that can do it, and if we don't, then there's no future for any of us, especially the people of South East.
Well, thank you. We'll have to leave it there. This event starts on Sunday and should run for a week.
Peter, thank you very much. Energy experts are predicting a crisis in the industry over the next decade as nuclear power stations close down without plans for replacements. Now, as we've seen, the protesters at Kingsnorth are objecting to generating company E.ON's plans to build the UK's first new coal-fired power station for 34 years. So, what is the way forward? Our environment correspondent, Mark Norman, takes a look at the potential for Kent to lead the world in terms of power generation and the fight against global warming.
Kent can lead the world in the way we generate electricity. It's a bold statement, but consider the facts. Kingsnorth Power Station. It's at the centre of a worldwide debate on the way we use coal.
There is technology available right now that can make it much, much cleaner than the existing power stations.
Dungeness, a nuclear power station, and may become the site for a new generation of nuclear power plants.
We will see new nuclear power stations up and running, controversial, yes.
And renewable energy resources. Within sight of the Kent coast, the London Array wind farm.
London Array is a really exciting project, as the largest offshore wind farm proposed in the UK to date.
And it's this mix of power generating options that the government believe is so essential in the decades to come.
The energy supply mix going forward over the next few decades, for both reasons of getting adequate supply of energy and ensuring the nation's security in a troubled world, and for these reasons about tackling CO2 emissions, tackling global warming. So the wind farm, offshore, onshore, new nuclear power stations up and running, but there will still be a role for gas and coal because of the flexibilities you need to produce electricity through our national grid system.
The counter-argument is that here in the southeast we are uniquely placed to change that vision and tackle CO2 emissions.
There's huge potential in Kent for both the investment in renewables but also a massive boost to the economy, and Kent really could be at the heart of our fight against climate change. But what the government needs to be doing to ensure that these projects actually work is providing much more incentive and a much better framework, and this can actually start in Kent.
And some people, including the protesters at Kingsnorth this week, would argue that we should move immediately to a low-carbon, renewable energy economy. But world experts advising governments and energy suppliers say that's just not possible.
We cannot totally dismantle the energy infrastructure that we have now and move to a completely renewable economy, renewable-based electricity economy. It's not feasible.
And so the arguments rage on while everyone seems to agree that climate change is happening and that decisions have to be made sooner rather than later. Mark Norman, BBC South East Today, Kingsnorth.
And there's a special section on our website where you can view Mark's reports on energy and find out more about the issues. There it is, bbc.co.uk/Kent.